What's going on, everybody? I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller. Happy Friday. You know, regardless of what's going on in the world, it doesn't mean that you can't find happiness. It doesn't mean you don't deserve to be happy and find some positivity somewhere. So today, instead of ranting at you, talking about Invicta probably or something I don't like, we're going to talk about something I really do like, something that I think is super positive and something, again, that I think is useful. That's the key word today, useful. So if you recall, a few months ago, maybe even a year ago, I made an episode titled 5 Useless Complications That I Really Like. Well, today we're going to be talking about, I think it's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 complications and then 2 kind of honorable mentions that I think are super duper useful and that I think every watch should have, or at least, you know, you should have some of these in your watch collection. But yeah, as I'm doing this episode, please follow along and kind of make your own list in the comment section. So yeah, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon, and let's do it. It's 2:58 p.m. Let's get down to business. Okie dokie, so useful complications. Well, here's what I want to do in this episode. I'm going to tell you the complication, then I'm going to give you 2 examples of watches to go along with that complication. One will be my ultimate pick, the other one will be an affordable option. So first up, I think that this is the single most useful complication a wristwatch can have: a date complication. Now notice I said date and not day, and this is kind of personal. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I very rarely forget what day it is of the week, but I very regularly forget what the date is. So having a very simple date window, hopefully not at the 4 o'clock, yeah, just kind of ties a watch together, and if it's done properly, then yeah, very, very useful and very nice to have on something you wear on your wrist every day. So my all-time pick for the perfect date complication would be my Rolex Date 1500, right? Date is in the name. That's the name of the watch. Now, when you find one in good condition, complete with the bracelet, you can expect to pay an average of $3,000, but I have an affordable option for you. Now, my affordable pick for the date complication might be kind of out of left field, but I've been really loving on this watch lately because I actually recently just got it. And I'm talking about the Orient Defender that has a very clean date window right there at the 6 o'clock. And yeah, perfect example of a simple date complication. Next up, a complication I hold near and dear to my heart, and it's super duper useful if you travel a lot: the GMT complication. Alright, so why is this GMT complication so dang cool? Well, if you travel a lot, maybe for work or for play, you know, work hard, play hard, you're a businessman, you're a playboy, you gotta have dinner in France, then you gotta go get sushi in Japan. That's like, what is that? That's a Post Malone lyric, right? Let me look it up. Let me look that up. Sushi, Post Malone. She said she too young, don't want a man. So she gon' call her friends, now that's a plan. I just ordered sushi from Japan. I know you're beep. Wanna kick it, Jackie Chan. Children these days. Jackie Chan's Chinese and sushi's Japanese. It's a little bit racially insensitive there. But regardless of what you're doing, if you're going places, having a GMT complication is really nice because you're able to track multiple time zones. And if you have a watch like my ultimate pick for this complication, my Rolex Explorer 2 16570, you also have a jumping quickset hour hand. Now, not every GMT has that kind of added feature, but again, that's why the Rolex Explorer 2 16570 is my all-time pick for the GMT. But guys, even if you don't do a whole lot of traveling, like I'm gonna be honest, I don't do a whole lot of traveling right now, having a GMT is really, really cool because I connect with a lot of my channel members and they're all over the world. You, my viewer, you're not necessarily in the greater Los Angeles area like I am, so having the ability, excuse me, to track another time zone is really cool. So I can track, you know, Pacific times, Los Angeles, LA time, I can track my local time zone, but also I got a lot of viewers in the UK, so I can set it to GMT, boom, and I can see what they're doing and I can keep my tabs on them, making sure that you guys are staying out of trouble. So yeah, GMT be very, very cool. Oh dang, actually, you know what? I just forgot to give you the affordable option, because let's face it, the Rolex Explorer 2 16570, if you find it in good condition, complete, you can expect to pay well over $7,000 at the time of filming. April, it's actually April Fool's Day at the time of filming, which is my son Link's birthday. I don't have a human child, but it's my cat and I love him. So why can't we find a GMT that's equally impressive and also very affordable? Well, I'd go ahead and take a look at a watch that I don't personally own right now, but a watch that I think is really, really cool, a Seiko Kinetic Sun 065, so SUN 065. Again, that's their Kinetic diver with a GMT complication, very dynamic dial. The indexes are raised a lot from the dial, so it really gives, again, that added depth and dynamic when you're looking at it. It is a Pepsi watch, so you're getting that splash of red and blue, and again, that stainless steel shroud. It has a nice kind of molded shroud in comparison to this Seiko Tuna's very circular shroud. So if you want a sleeker watch than this Tuna, but you also want one that shares similar characteristics, then yeah, check out the Seiko Kinetic Sun 065 GMT, but you don't have to break the bank. All right, next complication I really like and that I think is super duper useful. This is actually a complication I don't currently own technically. I don't own a World Time watch, but I think the World Time complication is very, very cool, mostly for the aesthetic properties, okay? When you find a really nice World Timer, they typically have a map or a globe on the dial, and it looks very, very upscale. It has the similar appeal to like a moon phase complication. For some reason, whenever you see a watch that has a World Time complication, again, you're getting a very functional complication, because if you're traveling a lot or you have people that you need to be in touch with on other parts of the planet, it helps to, you know, be able to track a time zone elsewhere. But they look very, very cool. They look very fancy. They look very opulent and expensive. So again, forgive me, this one's on the list because it truly is very functional, but also they look often very different from GMT watches. GMT watches typically have their own dedicated hand. World Time watches typically, again, have a map or a globe on the dial with listed time zones or cities on the bezel or chapter ring. So yeah, very cool watches. My all-time pick would be a Vacheron Constantine Overseas World Time. Now, I actually don't even know the price on that right now. Let me look. Alrighty, so there are actually a few different variants of this watch. Again, you're getting that sleek integrated bracelet. It is, as far as I'm concerned, the best when we're looking at sports watches of the Holy Trinity. This is the last bastion, guys. The Patek Philippe Nautilus has been ruined. Let's see, the AP Royal Oak, I loved it, then I hated it, but it's coming around, or I'm coming around to it again. So that's another one I really, really love. But yeah, the Overseas, it hasn't been ruined by Hollywood yet. So I apologize, I went on a little bit of a tangent, but you know, I always do that. What I'm trying to say is that I absolutely love the Vacheron Overseas platform, and their World Timer has 3 different variants, super duper sleek. Unfortunately, the average price is around $33,000. So I won't be getting one anytime soon, and I think it's worth looking for a more affordable option when we're looking at this complication. So that's where the Christopher Ward C1 Grand Malvern World Timer comes into play at $1,135 brand new, a far cry from the $33,000 Vacheron price tag. Now, I actually don't personally own the C1 Grand Malvern World Timer, but I have a lot of experience with the C1 Grand Malvern platform. I've reviewed their jump hour, I've reviewed the C1 Grand Malvern moon phase, I've reviewed a dive watch from 2 dive watches from Christopher Ward. So I'm a big fan of Chris Ward, and again, you're getting a very, very cool complication for well under $2,000 and well under $33,000. All right, next up, a very useful complication that I think is actually kind of underrated, a basic alarm. Everybody needs an alarm once in a while, right? Whether it be on your G-Shock or a mechanical watch like a Tudor Advisor. The Tudor, that's right guys. I actually do like the Tudor Advisor. Not the current Tudor Advisor, the one that looks more like the oyster cased like date, like a Rolex date. In fact, let's go ahead and put my Rolex date up here and the vintage Tudor Advisor right here. Same, it's same. Now you'll notice this vintage Tudor Advisor uses a modified oyster case to fit that secondary crown that actuates the alarm complication. Now unfortunately, it's going to be very difficult nowadays to find a complete example of a vintage Tudor Advisor with the original bracelet. It's just not common, and you're probably going to spend over $3,000. So what if we find one that's much less expensive, but still has a really cool, very functional alarm feature? Now I could have chosen a G-Shock, because pretty much every G-Shock has multiple alarm features and timers and time zones, world time, everything. But what about my personal Seiko SSC-081? Now everyone knows that as a solar chronograph with a compass and a 100-meter water resistance rating, but it also has an alarm feature with multiple alarms. And guys, you can find that watch for around 300 bucks. All right, so far we've looked at some watches with a date complication, a GMT, a world time, an alarm. Now it's time for some honorable mentions, okay? So the last two things I want to bring up, they're technically not complications, because to be a watch complication has to be something that alters the movement. Well, these are two attributes that I want to bring up that I think are incredibly functional, incredibly nice for a watch to have, and something that I use all the time. The first one would be a timing bezel, like on my Seiko Tuna, like on an Orient Mako, Seiko SKX, pretty much any dive watch worth its salt, worth its weight in salt, weight in gold. Worth its salt. What's the expression? I'm an idiot. Worth its weight in gold, or worth its salt. Man, sorry. Sometimes when I'm just zipping off information, I don't know what the heck I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is pretty much any traditional dive watch worth its salt will have a rotating bezel, okay? You use that as a timer. So what you would do is you take the pip and you line that pip up with the minute hand. At least that's the way that I know how to do it. And so then there, you will be able to see actually very quickly and very easily how much time has elapsed, because the minute hand, again, will correlate with the markers on the bezel. So very cool. Again, not technically a complication, but a feature that I really like having on my watches. Now the next feature I'd like, it's technically not a complication, threaded crown. I harp on this all the time on this channel, and it's not just for water resistance, guys. A threaded crown is also kind of an added security feature when we're looking at a robust build all around. So a crown that's not threaded, if you knock it, it can break, and the crown stem will break off into the movement, and sure, a watchmaker can fix it, but it's a headache, and why have to go through with that? A threaded crown not only mitigates anything getting into the movement, whether it be debris, dust, or water, but also, if I knock this crown, like on the Tuna, it's threaded, that crown is essentially part of the case, and it's much more robust and much more resilient to any knocks or blows hitting it and breaking off the crown stem. So again, a very cool feature, not technically a complication, but something I really like having on my watches. So guys, let me know what you think. Which complications do you think you really need on a watch? Which ones are super duper functional, and which ones are your favorite? Leave that in the comment section below, and I'd love to see what you guys pick. Well guys, I want to thank you so much for 95,000 subscribers. 100,000 subscribers is right around the corner, and I'm bringing you guys along with me. Guys, keep your head up, keep smiling. There is still goodness in the world, and we're still allowed to be happy, so don't let what's going on get you down. I love you. The T3 Army remains strong. So as always, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you don't miss out anything that's going on around here. We got a lot more content. We got some restocks going on at the Time Teller shop. Shipping a little bit delayed getting into the shop, so inventory is coming in. Bear with us. Again, the world, wonky things are happening, but I stay smiling. So should you. I love you guys. Stay happy, stay blessed. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller. Always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it.